And at 10, Ultimate. The Ultimate Universe is very similar to the normal 616 counterpart. However, there are some differences that certainly make this thing scarier than the main continuity. Captain America is anti-French for some reason. Ultimate Mr. Fantastic is a villain called the Maker. Ultimate Thanos is gold instead of purple. Oh yeah, and Ultimate Magneto is way too dark compared to Prime Magneto. Prime Magneto hates humans, but Ultimate Magneto is like a tyrant in that he considers all humans insects. Ultimate Wolverine is shown to be interested in teenage girls, while Earth 616 Wolverine is more honorable, because sure, okay, Earth 616 Cyclops and Wolverine didn't see eye to eye, but Wolverine would never have killed Cyclops just so that he could sleep with his girl. Yeah, and Wolverine wants to sleep with Jean Grey, a teenager, when Wolverine is in his 30s, at least in the Ultimate Universe. Oh, and there's also a romantic relationship between Wanda and Pietro, which is probably the scariest thing in this reality, on this Earth, and the reason I wanted it on this list. And at 9, Thanos wins. While the heroes of the MCU already received a little bit of a taste of a reality in which Thanos achieved his ultimate goal by erasing half the population of the universe in Avengers Infinity War, there exists a still darker universe where Thanos wins. Determined to finally impress death, Thanos eradicated every living being on planet Earth, including the superheroes and Frank Castle. The former Punisher made deals with both Mephisto and Galactus to find a new life of vengeance as the Cosmic Ghost Rider and stop King Thanos' dark reality from ever happening. As time went by though, the heroes of Earth grew old and weak, but Thanos only grew stronger, his eternal quest to please death leading him to kill almost every living thing in the known galaxy, and becoming the king of what remained in his wake. Nothing. I don't know why you'd want to be king of nothing. Seems pointless in my opinion, and I'm a king, so I feel like my expertise here, but whatever, okay, as long as it's not this universe, I'm fine with it. Oh, and not only that, but knowing that he had to die in order to be with death, King Thanos gave a piece of the time stone to his servant, the Rider, and tasked him with going back in time to drag his younger self to the future so that he could be killed by present Thanos. And at 8, Age of Ultron. Ultron 1320 comes from Earth 14622, and What If Age of Ultron number 1. An Earth where, thanks to Wasp dying, Ultron is able to take over the world faster. Ultron was created to be the ultimate AI by Hank Pym, to help the Avengers utilize their function better as a team. But with the untimely death of Pym's wife, Pym went on to create a more brutal version of Ultron, which was to replace the Avengers. But with this, Ultron's sentience began to constantly evolve. He started the eradication of the human race by taking out such threats as the Avengers and the Defenders, while he left Pym alive to watch him suffer. Ultron and his army of Ultron Sentinels then moved to Kola, Russia, so that he could bore himself into the planet's core to create the ultimate version of himself, Ultron 1320. Ultron then had his minions batter and beat Pym unconscious until he woke up to find that he himself had been turned into Ultron 1321. This version of Ultron also invaded other worlds, claiming Earth 62412, 23223, and 81223, but was stopped on Earth 45162. In its 7, Age of Apocalypse. Earth 295 is a reality that was accidentally created by Legion, son of X-Men leader Professor Charles Xavier and Israeli diplomat Gabriel Haller. Legion believed that the only way to bring peace to humans and mutants was to kill Magneto before he could incite the anti-mutant movement. He traveled back to a time when Xavier and Magneto both lived in Israel and were working at a hospital, taking the X-Men Storm, Iceman, Bishop, and Psylocke back with him. Legion tried to stab Magneto with a Psyblade, but Xavier shielded Magneto and was killed instead. By killing his own father, Legion then made his own existence impossible. The Macron Crystal resolved the paradox by restructuring reality. All the X-Men vanished from that reality, and a new reality came into existence. Bishop, already displaced in time, remained, but the chronal backlash fractured his mind. He wandered Earth for nearly 20 years, and then that superpowered fight attracted the attention of Apocalypse, who then basically took over and destroyed everything. And at 6, Old Man Logan. 50 years later, Logan lives with his wife Maureen and his son Scotty and daughter Jade on a plot of land in Sacramento. What used to be California, but is now part of Hulkland. He requires money to pay his rent to the landlords of his territory, the descendants of Bruce Banner, the Hulk Gang, who are a product of Just a whole lot of crap, okay? Just give me a minute. He refuses to sell his children's toys to pay for the rent, understandably, and Logan is shown as a broken old man refusing to fight anyone and trying to live peacefully. He realizes that he will be unable to pay the rent this month and that the Hulk gang will not accept a plea to pay double next month on its own. Oh, by the way, the Hulk gang is a inappropriately and unconsensually conceived group of children of the Hulk and She-Hulk, Bruce's cousin. Yeah, the Hulk gang arrives the next day to confront Logan on his lack of payment and then violently beat him, even though he was one of the most violent superheroes ever. Though Logan entertains visions of gutting the eldest Hulk brother Otis, he remains calm and just lets the beating happen. Later though, the Hulk gang kills his family, so Logan goes on to kill the whole Hulk gang, but it's still a messed up Earth, okay? It is. Halfway through into number 5, Earth X. The entire world has mutated due to the release of the Terrigen mists in the air. The now blind Watcher recruits Aaron Stack to be his eyes and inform him of what's going on Earth. X-51 finds that in this new world where everyone has superhuman abilities, a young man named the Skull is attempting to take over the world. And Captain America and a band of former champions of Earth have rallied together to stop him, but there's more going on here than meets the eye. It is learned that the Celestials have manipulated the people of Earth into being antibodies for a celestial embryo that is growing in the Earth's core. With humanity in a state of mutation that is not destined to happen for another 300 years, the Celestials come to cleanse the human race from the face of the Earth. Only the intervention of Reed Richards, Black Bolt, and Franklin Richards, who is now Galactus, stop the Celestials and destroys the thing growing at the center of the Earth. At the end of the battle, Galactus returns to space, and Reed has giant human torches built around the Earth to burn the Terrigen mists out of the air in an attempt to return humanity back to their former state. In at 4, Ruins. While Marvel was showcasing their best and brightest with Earth 616, Ruins takes a dark and twisted look at an alternate Marvel Earth where everything could have gone wrong, and it does, in the worst possible ways. The various scientific accidents and experiments that created Marvel's heroes went extremely wrong in the Ruins reality, alright? The Fantastic Four died on their test run in space, Bruce Banner was transformed into a living mass of tumors instead of the Hulk, and Peter Parker's spider bite left him with a terrifyingly infectious disease that ultimately ends up killing the narrator of the story in the truly darkest Marvel timeline. However, this is basically how the creators thought the world would be if the superheroes were real. It is in essence a combination of Earth 616 and our world, with the idea of what would happen realistically if this was our world being the founding thoughts for the Ruins storylines. And it's hella messed up, but I don't think that in this world Bruce would grow tumors, okay? I think he would just die. Probably from cancer, but still, okay, it's a more realistic version, but a much darker version of the realism. Getting close to the end in at number 3, Earth 666. First appearing in Secret Adventures number 33 from 2012, on Earth 666, everyone in the world is one of the undead, but this isn't Marvel Zombies. I was told not to talk about Marvel Zombies. The living were not endured on this world, nor do they welcome interdimensional police. The Orb of Necromancy was hidden by Brother Voodoo, who put it deep in Shumagorath's ego maze. In the Center Tower, where an undead celestial was located and who was their god, and with the orb, they planned to spread undeath to all of reality, and it's currently in a unique position as its population is divided between a variety of subtypes of supernatural creatures, vampires, werewolves, mummies, among others. The divide between the various groups is social and deeply rooted, with parts of the world being ruled by various factions. However, in this world there is some hope, as the greatest heroes of the various groups are united to protect the world as the Avengers of the Undead. Basically, if Marvel met Supernatural, especially that episode where like there was like the Chicago monster families and it was like a parody of the Mafia, that's what's going on. Especially because Captain America's shield is made of vibranium, not silver. Get it? Cause Cap's a werewolf this time? The alternative to the number 666 in some translations of the Bible is actually 616, the number used for Marvel's Prime Earth, so there you go. But ultimately, in at number 2, Hulk number 3. The world first explored in Hulk number 3 from 2021 is quite an interesting one. Here we meet another Bruce Banner who doesn't actually have a Hulk form. Instead, his Game of Bombs were a success, but the government then took them and then started using them against their enemies, which caused intense radiation that turns those affected into, as the military called them, bio-waste casualties, which in this reality are their own versions of Hulk and She-Hulk, horrifically disfigured for the most part. This Earth's version of Bruce ends up disposing of these Hulks by throwing them into the void, which even he doesn't know where it sends them. Although, if I'm being honest, this kind of reminds me of the Rick Potion number 9 episode of Rick and Morty season 1. You know, like the one where Morty wants to go to the dance with Jessica, but he ends up giving her like a love potion, but it's flu season, and then Rick tries to fix everyone by turning everyone into praying mantises, and then a combination of like a load of different DNAs that was supposed to equal human but doesn't. Yeah, that's kind of how I see these Hulks, but to not such an extreme where Bruce needs to like change worlds. And finally, into number 1, the CANCERVERSE. The CANCERVERSE is a reality where life finally defeated death, with eternal life being fueled by the many-angled ones. Every living being in this universe was corrupted and turned to their servitude, resulting in a universe-wide living corpse, which means that they aren't zombies, okay, since zombies are undead and nobody in this earth can die. Before the death of Captain Marvel, with no cure or anything to save him, his terminal condition caused such distress among the people who adored him. Across the universe, all the empathetic trauma was sensed by the many-angled ones. They reached out to the dying Marvel to give them one simple truth: even death may die. While Avengers, Defenders, X-Men, Fantastic Four, and other heroes were present for a vigil at his deathbed at this point, Marvel transmuted his closest allies, among them the Avengers, now the Revengers. Despite the opposition of many, including seemingly at least members of the Machine Resistance, the corrupted heroes performed a ritual known as necropsy, sacrificing the avatar of death on the spacecraft sanctuary and consequently annihilating death itself. Yeah.
Number 10, Earth 64211. This reality is quite dark and quite scary, especially for Black Bolt. Here, Maximus, Black Bolt's brother, devised a plan to steal the throne of Attilan and of the Inhumans by disguising himself as his brother. When this plan appeared to be destined to fail due to memory detectors installed around the palace in preparation, he made the Inhuman Telegar make it so that he not only looked identical to Black Bolt, but also had his distinct superpowered vocal cords and his memories as well, erasing Maximus's. Still, Maximus was not trained to hold back his voice, and the pain of the procedure caused him to cry out, exposing his treachery and causing him to be banished from Attilan to THANOS. However, Maximus gave himself Black Bolt's memories, and therefore he didn't actually remember his role in this plot, leaving him to ponder upon this revelation if he was indeed Maximus turned into Black Bolt, or simply Black Bolt and Maximus had actually succeeded in usurping him. He couldn't remember who he was anymore. Number 9. That time Thanos helped an old lady cross the street. This alternate reality seems to be unnumbered, but exists based off the story that Cosmic Ghost Rider tells us in the Thanos 2016 annual. Connor diving into Thanos Wins on the part 1 of this list made me remember how much I love that comic, but especially the annual, which features multiple stories which are all, or at least appear to be, set in alternate worlds. In one such story, Thanos helps a little old lady cross the street, seemingly at first out of the kindness of his heart. I know, shocking, right? Well, of course it turns out that even this act is quite sinister, and that Thanos really did it only to delay a bus from stopping, thereby preventing Stephanie Kircher from bumping into and meeting Suzanne. This meeting would set Stephanie on a path which would turn her into Earth's savior, allowing her to end world hunger, cure disease, and dismantle inequality. Thanos even visits Stephanie on her deathbed to give her a vision of what could have been of the life she missed out on because he delayed her bus, stopping by a few moments, preventing her from bumping into Suzanne. Pretty evil stuff, right? And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about even more scary alternate Earths from Marvel, there are tons of those, so be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Earth 51412. One of the freakiest realities that I could think of visiting would be the one that belongs to Patton Parnell. Patton Parnell is probably one of the most disturbing Spider-Man alternates around, who literally turned into a sadistic man-spider-like monster when he got his powers. Well, he was actually probably always sadistic and sociopathic to some extent, but getting spider-like powers, which also turned him into a humanoid spider-like creature, probably didn't help the guy. Number 7, Earth 11080. Also known as the Last Gun on Earth reality. Here, Punisher once more faces off against the Marvel Universe. But instead of it just being a comic book trope this time around, Frank is actually not just out for vengeance, but seeks to save the world by facing off against many famous Marvel heroes and villains. This is because on this alternate Earth a virus was released that caused those infected to become violent and cannibalistic. Here Spider-Man ends up patient zero after devouring the villain Rhino live on national television. And well, I think you can imagine how dark it gets from there. It just gets darker and darker and darker. You're like, wow, it's like pitch black in this universe. I cannot see. Someone turn on a light in here. Number 6. Earth 18138. Another scary alternate reality tied to Thanos, as some are known to be. I mean, Thanos is a pretty scary dude. Actually came about because a hero was trying to redeem the villain and raise Thanos instead to be a hero. The hero who attempted this, however, wasn't really great at doing so, and instead made the future worse as a result. This hero was Frank Castle alternate Cosmic Ghost Rider. The thing with Cosmic Ghost Rider is that he only became Ghost Rider as a final gambit to try and save the universe. This was after Frank was killed when Thanos attacked the Earth. By the time Frank had made his deal to become a spirit of vengeance and returned as Ghost Rider, it was pretty much too late. He spent an eternity alone and was driven pretty crazy by the solitude. He went on to get the power Cosmic, became a Herald of Galactus, and when he still failed to stop Thanos, joined him instead. After that history was wiped from existence in which Thanos won, Cosmic Ghost Rider ended up in Valhalla for a while before realizing he wasn't really happy there, it wasn't really his thing, and being permitted by Odin to leave in order to travel back in time and try and kill Thanos to prevent a future like the one he was from ever becoming possible. Cosmic Ghost Rider couldn't bring himself to kill the then innocent baby Thanos though, and instead went on adventures with him, trying to teach him to be good. But it turns out Frank Castle wasn't necessarily an expert on the subject of heroism and goodness himself. This version of Thanos grows up instead to become a dictator, removing freedom of choice from those he rules, making them be good and banishing those who refuse to submit and obey him. That's like too much goodness. You shouldn't be trying to make people be good. Kind of gotta let them do their own thing, otherwise then you're kind of evil. It kind of defeats the whole point. Thanos. Number 5. What if Ultron won? While the What If comic book series sometimes takes us to weird and hilarious alternate realities, this time around the Disney Plus and Marvel animated series took us to one of the most depressing realities yet. In episode 8 of the series, we get to see into a reality where Ultron won the day. In fact, he won all of the days to come. Black Widow and Hawkeye are the only remaining survivors, it seems, who are attempting to fight back against Ultron and stop him, once and for all, at any cost. However, in the end, Ultron finds a way to break free of his fate at being defeated, using his own power and the Infinity Stones to escape his own reality and threaten the existence of all lives across the multiverse. Is there anything scarier than this? I don't think so. Number 4. Life 9 of Moira X. During the relaunch of the X-Men books, the mutants were given a refresh when it came to their history and when it came to making sense of seemingly all the almost separate lives that they've kind of lived, all the different eras of X-Men. Moira McTaggart was revealed to be a mutant codenamed Moira X, whose power was reincarnation, with her dying and being reborn from her mother's womb once more, but with the knowledge of all the previous lives she had lived prior to that one. Moira's 9th life, the timeline that precedes 616 from her perspective, saw Moira join with Apocalypse in order to try to find a way to protect the mutants against the inevitable, man who create machines, Sentinels, to destroy them, and in so doing often end up destroying humanity as well. Despite uniting with the powerful mutant Apocalypse in this reality, technology once more ended up being the end of both humanity and mutant kind, with this reality's destruction being linked back to the existence of Nimrod. In order to prevent this dystopian and apocalyptic reality from coming to pass, Moira ends up getting information on how Nimrod was created and allows herself to be killed and reborn with said information so that she might be able to prevent Nimrod from coming online in her next life. And, you know, make the next reality not so awful in the end. Of course, Nimrod has come online, so I'm pretty sure we're all doomed. But anyways. Number 3. Earth 21129. Yikes. Is this one scary? Also coming to us from another glimpse into the Darkhold during the Darkhold event, in this reality we see a darker potential future for Tony Stark, as he works to create his Iron Man suit. In Darkhold Iron Man, Stark creates the suit with the help of his own team of employees and friends, only to discover that removing it also removes his skin with said pieces of armor. Forced to stay within the suit for his own safety, Tony Stark, with help from Pepper Potts, worked tirelessly to find a way to fix this small but very disturbing glitch. In the end, Stark ends up believing that the suit is superior, and as like with the Cybermen of Doctor Who, believes that everyone on Earth should merge with the suit, giving up their more squishy human form in favor of the armor, which is better at protecting them, despite the fact that the suits kinda slowly break down your biological form and fully merge with those who wear them. Disturbing, I know. And then in the end they're like, everyone gets an Iron Man suit. Don't worry, just get in the Iron Man suit. Nothing bad will happen. Number 2, Zombieverse. I wish I could do a list like this without talking about the Marvel Zombieverse, sometimes referred to as Earth Z, but I don't think I can. Also, Connor did his best to stay away from Marvel Zombies on part 1, which means it kind of falls to me to talk about it, because I don't think we can really do a Scariest Alternate Marvel Universes series without at least mentioning Marvel Zombies. And then of course the thing with that is, if we mention it, the trauma that I have experienced personally from reading the series set in this universe means that I have to boost it up on our list. Yeah, Marvel Zombies has left emotional scars on me, okay? It's stuck with me. Every time I come back to it, I'm like reliving the horror again. Mainly, what still haunts me to this day is the time that zombie Ant-Man captured human Black Panther and kept him alive so that he could saw off pieces of T'Challa to feed on, keeping his former friend as his own little secret snack. Very, very disturbing. I'm sure that'll never come up again, I hope. Number 1, what if zombies? This other alternate zombie reality comes to us from the Marvel and Disney Plus animated show, What If? In this series we get glimpses into alternate Marvel cinematic realities via the Watcher, who pretty much sees all. Each episode features a standalone story, but these episodes also come together in the end of this first season, as the threads from each story kind of end up connecting when the Watcher creates the Guardians of the Multiverse team to help to defend the various realities against ULTRON, who we talked about earlier on. The reason that I put this zombie universe above the comic book one is because despite the small shimmer of hope we get in this episode and in this reality, a lot of heroes still die, and in some cases quite gruesomely. And we know it's not over yet because we're getting a whole Marvel Zombies animated series. Oh boy, I can't wait. Good news is that writer Zeb Wells appears to be the mastermind behind that show, and I love Zeb Wells' writing, so I'm sure I will actually enjoy it. But the bad news is we still got Black Panther sliced up, but this time to feed a crazy powerful zombified version of Scarlet Witch. Double yikes. Double trauma for Amanda. Why? I was like, they're probably not gonna do that in this episode, and then they did it, and I was like, why? Why did we do this? I can't, I really don't like that part. I don't like it. Oh well, it's over now. Black Panther got away. It's fine. He's fine. Nothing bad will happen, I'm sure, and the world will be saved by our heroes. I'm sure.